Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
My friends and I always tune into the Todd Levitt Law Show. Todd is entertaining, informative, and always delivers the goods.
Todd might not tell you what you want to hear, but he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And all you got to do is listen.
Hold on, Todd. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
A lazy rain am I. The skies refuse to cry. Cremation takes its piece of your supply. The night is dressed like noon. A sailor spoke too soon. And China's on the dark side of the moon. Hit me now. The secret life of Rue, a personality I never knew. Get it on. My Greta weighs a ton. The archer's on the run, and no one stands alone behind the sun.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting in the Black Diamond Group mothership in the middle of the mitten in a beautiful, beautiful green nutrient field with my good friend who's cracking me up, Craig Russell, Dank, America's favorite nug. I call him Mando. He's holding up a sign that says, "Hey, Dank, let's do the show." Craig, how you doing, Craig? You're destroying me with that Dank sign after last week's show.
I am fan-flippin-tastic. How are you, Todd?
I'm doing well. Huge response to the Dank show last week.
Now, you do see what I have on the other side of the sign, do you not?
I do.
Don't call me Mando.
Don't call me Mando.
It's Craig. My name is America's favorite nug, not Mando Russell.
Do not call me Mando. But, Mando's a cool name as a nickname. How about Mando Russell if you were going to have a son, Craig?
Mando Russell. I've already got a son. I don't need to have a.
Or how about a pet? Name it Mando.
Mando. It's
Mando. Hey, Craig. How about
That sounds like that could be the strain of the week. Mando.
How about a little pepper chili hot red, otherwise known as RHCP, Red Hot Chili Peppers, opening up the show with their new tunage.
I know. How often do we play new music on this show? Very rarely. But that's a great Red Hot Chili Peppers song. It's called Black Summer. It's from their brand new song. Just came out like a couple weeks ago. And classic Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's Anthony Kiedis like he's on the east side of Grand Rapids, and he's just singing his heart out at Yesterdog, and he's being the man. Anthony Kiedis is from Grand Rapids. I don't know if you knew that, but
I knew that. We talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we've talked about
Mando,
that.
we talked about that a few weeks ago. Mando.
All right, whatever. They're dankity dank dank.
Hey, but no, we definitely destroyed it with Red Hot Chili Peppers. I've been playing that in my noggin all week long, and I think I wore it out. The thing about the internet, as opposed to when we were young, growing up in the 70s, 80s, you in like the 1920s.
Sure.
Back then, you would have to wait on the radio if you didn't have a 45 or the album until cassettes came out. to hear your favorite song. So,
Even worse, you had to wait on the radio with a cassette in play and record, and when that song started, you had to start it right away to make sure you got the majority of the song if you wanted to record it off the radio, which was even worse.
I was like every other kid in the late 70s and 80s. I had my favorite cassette mixtapes of classic rock like The Doors and, all that great stuff from the 60s and 70s. Did you have a cassette and did you mark it?
Oh, yeah.
Mixtape?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Had 3 or 4 different ones that I would use. You put them in the Walkman while you're mowing the lawn or whatever, it was always good. Now, let's be honest. That was a great song to open the show with, but it's not the song you really wanted to open the show with. What did you really want to open the show with?
Well, last week on the show there, my favorite Nug, we did tease the listeners that we were going to play some Pantera, and we are a law show, but we are also a rock and roll radio show podcast. So without further ado, how about a little Pantera, one of my top 5 just destroying your groups. Man, I'm just so pumped right now, Craig. Just play some Pantera.
Cowboys from Hell, Pantera on the Todd L. Levitt Show.
Cowboys from Hell.
Yeah, rocking it out this morning. Wanted to really open the show with Pantera because, see, we're talking about Pantera for about the last 6 weeks, it seems like. It seems like every week you're like, oh, we should play Pantera, and then we never ended up playing it. Well, now we finally got off our ass and played it, so there we go.
We talk about the same things every week. Little John's coming back on the show.
Hey!
Exactly. And we're going to play some Pantera.
And Pantera.
Yeah.
Hey, can I give a big shout out? I don't usually do the big shout out thing. That's usually you.
You're asking me?
I'm asking you. It's your show.
You're the one. But you're behind the glass or behind the board.
But
what control do I have, Craig? Absolutely, folks, none.
I am nothing if I'm not respectful. You are the name of the show is the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. So I'm going to ask you, can I do a shout out?
Seeing that you are from one of my favorite Amish communities, the Russell Amish community, yes, and I love the Amish, by the way.
That's correct. Who doesn't love the Amish? How can you not love the Amish?
No, I mean, mid-Michigan, we got some great families. I'm not even being satirical here. I love the Amish. Great folks. They do a great job.
One of your and mine close personal friends celebrated a birthday last week.
Yes.
Big hair. Turned 152 years old. No, I don't know how old
that's
he was.
Right.
It was his
turned 60.
It was his birthday last week. Yeah. You know how I know that? I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I got a Facebook notification that he was having a birthday, and I tried to say happy birthday to him on Facebook, and he's got his page all locked down so you can't do that. I'm like, big hair.
You know what?
What the hell, big hair?
Surprise him right now and not tell me that, not even tell him. I'll call him and put him on the radio.
If you want to, more power to it. It's the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Here we go. Big Hair is not picking up the phone.
Because he knows.
Well, he does listen to the show every Sunday morning.
It's a little after 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Come on,
Big
Hair.
Call has been forwarded to an...
Come on.
Boo.
Are you kidding me? Come on.
We try and call call Big Hair and wish him a happy birthday.
Wish him a happy birthday.
And your calls being forwarded to an automated teller machine thing.
Come on, Big Hair.
That's pretty weak. Pretty weak, Big Hair.
That is extremely weak.
He doesn't get any strain of the week for his birthday. I can tell you that. He's going to have to buy his own strain of the week. So
yeah, no. Yeah. Let's since we're having fun here Sunday morning, it's lighthearted as much as we can with what goes on. We'll try to call Little John.
Oh, okay.
Let's put him on the spot.
We'll try Little John.
Hello.
Hey, Little John, I got you on the radio. What's up, Little John?
Hey! What you up to, my brother?
Hey, I've got Craig Russell, the Muscle, the Hustle, America's favorite Dank, the Dank on the radio here, and Little John, we tried calling Big Hair because he turned 60 last week, and we couldn't get a hold of him. And I said the only person I know that picks up the phone every time I call him day and night is Little John. So, Little John, you are live and hot on the radio. How you doing, Little John?
I'm hanging in there. Anything you can do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And any favorite strain of the week, though? You want to announce any favorite strain other than Granddaddy Purple, which is your strain?
No, not offhand.
You might have caught him a little off guard. Did we catch you a little off guard there?
Did we catch you off guard there, Little John?
Yeah, well, that's all right.
Yep. Anyhow,
way to catch me.
Yeah, the listeners love you, Little John. They love having you on the radio. We wanted to have you wish Big Hair happy birthday, and then we'll let you go about your day.
Okay. Hey, Big Hair. This is that little short guy that I met a while back. I met you. Had the privilege too. I'm wishing you a happy birthday, young man. Maybe someday you'll get as old as I am.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Little John, we love you, and I'll give you a shout later, okay?
Okay, brother. Be safe and tell Brother Greg, take it easy. Don't be sleazy.
That's outstanding. Little John, everybody. Little John in the mothership on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Entertaining law show, by the way.
Don't be sleazy. Oh, Little John, I love him.
Hey, by the way, I have a shout out to all the Allwoods out there.
Okay.
Russ, his family. Great family there in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, Russ Allwood. And just all the best to his family. They have a terrific nursery off of M20 just west of town in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. And, I mean, anything and everything you need for landscaping. They have feed out there. So Allwood Nursery right there on M20, just west of Mount Pleasant as you get past Lincoln Road that way. So a big shout out to the family. Well, we've had big Hair not answer the phone, and we've had Little John talk on the air. So the show can pretty much be over with at this point, Todd.
Yeah, we got to go. Goodbye, everybody.
I mean, do we actually have any law to talk about here? Well, I mean, I am an attorney.
We do. We have to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, but when we come back, we do have some law. No, we actually have an email of the week, a listener question about the law.
I have a complaint. I haven't had a complaint in a long time.
Oh, okay. So we'll have a complaint, and we've got a question coming up on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We'll be right back.
A lazy rain am I, the skies refuse to cry. Cremation takes its piece of your supply. The night is dressed like noon, a sailor spoke too soon. And China's on the dark side of the moon. Hit me now. Platypus are few, the secret life of Rue, a personality migrate away the town. The archers on the run, and no one stands alone behind the sun. It's been a long time since I made a new friend.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Coming back strong, not with Little John, but with Red Hot Chili Peppers and their new tunage. I just love the Chili Peppers, Craig. When they first came out, it was like corn coming out. It just was a different sound.
Oh, wait.
I love corn.
You're talking the band Corn.
Yeah,
I'm
not
like
corn.
I'm thinking corn like corn, kernels of corn. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No. I'm
That's
talking
very
about Red Hot
confused.
Chili Peppers when they came out, in the late 80s, probably?
Yeah, it is
End
too
of the
early.
80s, early 90s.
It's too early in the morning for you to mess that stuff up. I just didn't know what you were talking about. Corn. You're talking about the band Corn. I got you.
The band Corn.
Yeah.
Who does not love corn?
Personally, I like it with a little bit of butter and salt on it myself, but that's just me.
Come on.
Different
Hey,
different
Craig, I have sort of a complaint right now.
Okay.
So, look, last week and, throughout the years, how often have you gone through a drive-through restaurant, whether it's Arby's or Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell, any of the favorite top fast food restaurants? There's plenty of them out there.
Right.
But last week we happened to go through Arby's when we love Arby's.
Okay.
And
we ordered
Arby's
Arby's has the meats. I don't know if you knew that.
And I did not know that.
Yes, they do.
Jeez, where did I
They
hear
do.
that one before?
They do have the meats at Arby's.
So my point is, we drove off. I'm chowing on the fries.
Okay.
just-
Curly fries? Curly fries?
Yeah, no, straight fries, actually.
Oh, okay.
The crinkle fries.
Okay, the crinkle fries, right.
And,
Okay.
and this happens every single time. As soon as I'm maybe halfway or 3/4 way through the fries in the bag, I always get an onion ring, okay? There's always an onion ring in that fries, and it always causes me to rethink my order. I love onion rings. They're so delicious, but I ordered fries, Craig, not onion rings. But when I get the onion rings, it makes me want onion rings. But the problem is I'm already 5-10 miles down the road. So my point is, look, stop teasing. I wonder if they do that intentionally.
They do.
Intentionally.
They do.
No, come on. No, I'm totally serious.
No, I'm totally serious too.
No, come on. I'm not even trying to be funny here.
No, I understand.
It's not even a complaint. I love onion rings, but I always
Nope.
taste that Burger King does the same thing.
They do. Burger King, they do, and they do that on purpose because that's how they get you to buy it. They do. They do that. You always will find, because to be honest, if they really wanted to separate them, they could keep them, offspring, you got to keep them separated. They could keep them separated easily, but they don't. They intermingle them.
I love the offspring.
You like that?
by the way.
You like that?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But they do that on purpose because they get you to buy onion rings. Then they'll get you to go back to buy onion rings some other time. It's a bonus. You get a bonus. Like when you buy crinkle fries and you get a curly fry. You get a bonus curly fry. It's the same thing
So
with
you're
onion
telling
rings.
me that these fast food restaurants,
Yep.
when they shake the fries or onion rings, mostly it's fries and the onion ring and the fry, once they take it out of the fryer and they dump them in the bin and they salt it or whatnot, that they're grabbing a bunch of onion rings and just mixing it in?
No, I'm telling you that it
makes perfect business sense. I agree. I see what they're doing.
They've got a bin, and on one side of the bin are French fries, and one side of the bin are onion rings, and they intermingle a little bit, and they go ahead and they just will put an extra one in there because that's how they get you to then come back and buy onion rings.
I can't confirm, deny, or affirm what you're telling me is the truth, but I'm going to check with Arby's next week when I'm going through the drive-thru, and I'll report back to the listeners.
Todd, I have a
Correct.
question. I have a question for you.
What?
Who is that fast food guy?
You? Oh, that's true. On YouTube, folks. Craig Russell, America's favorite nug, Dank to Dank now, is the fast food guy on YouTube.
Need I say any more?
Nope. End of story. You're right. You know what?
Yep.
You are acquitted. It's fine. See you later. Good
Because
night, everybody.
on top of the other side, if you get onion rings, you'll get a bonus French fry in the onion rings. It's the same thing. They do it every time. There's no
boy.
getting around.
All right. I got
No
it.
getting around
I'm with
it.
you. All right.
No.
How about some law?
How about
some law, Craig?
How about some law? Last
people
I checked.
tune in. They don't tune in for the banter. They tune in. They don't tune in for movie reviews. Although Vikings Valhalla on Netflix season 1 was outstanding last week. Valhalla.
Valhalla Vikings. Interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I love the Vikings.
What else are you watching on Netflix these days?
Well, that was
Or
it. I was
HBO? That's
binge
it?
watching all day.
Oh, okay. That's all you
I don't really watch a lot of news or TV. It's just Netflix. 1883, that completed their season. So
Right.
now it's going to be, I think, 1932 coming out. Waiting for season 5 of Yellowstone. That's where I'm at, Craig. But let's talk some law, can we please?
We can. We can talk some law. We do have an email, toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com if you want to ask the show a question. And we need to do, we have not done a full email show in a while. So maybe next week we should do an email show. But toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com if you want to ask the show a question. And this is an email from Aaron, and Aaron is from Columbus, Indiana. Do you know where Columbus, Indiana is, Todd?
I absolutely do not.
Columbus, Indiana is halfway between Indianapolis and Louisville, right there in mid-southern Indiana. It's a very famous city known for a lot of its architecture. They in the 1950s and 60s, they tore down like the whole town and they rebuilt it with a bunch of famous architects. And it's very, very Art Deco-y, and they've got a lot of cool architecture there in Columbus, Indiana. It's also the home of Tony Stewart.
What's the question?
Well, it's also the home of Tony Stewart, the NASCAR
reference, yeah.
There you
Absolutely.
go. I know how much you love the NASCAR and the country music. I know you do.
Is this the question in regards to? I know we had somebody ask us about setting bond.
No.
Whether or not somebody has a right to have bond set.
No, that's a good question, but this is not that question. This question has to do with sobriety court and how you go from sobriety court license back to a regular license. That's what Aaron wants to know. Aaron,
okay,
from
great
Columbus,
question
Indiana.
for Aaron, but I do recall also a bond question. And at least in the state of Michigan, as most states across the country, Craig, a defendant does have a right to have bond set, although bond can be denied in some circumstances. But it can be authorized in most criminal cases. And just briefly for the listening audience, all 25 of them out there, including Sparky, a defendant has a right to have the bond set, but the primary reason for bond is usually twofold. One, to protect the public and to ensure that the defendant appears at future court hearings. In other words, bond is designed to ensure that sufficient conditions exist as to thwart any, threat the defendant poses and that the defendant reappears for court.
Can I ask you a bond question? Can I ask you a question about bond? Because this is something I've always wondered about. They always
there are several factors, not to interrupt you, but I'm going to. Usually a judge or magistrate will consider, Craig, several factors in determining the terms and condition of bond.
Okay, well, so let me ask you a question. So why do they do, we're going to set your bond at $50,000, and they'd only have to pay 10% of that? Why don't you have to come up with the whole $50,000? Why do they do that?
Well, because as I just said, the magistrate and or the judge is looking at a number of factors and determining whether or not it's a cash surety bond, or some other terms and conditions of the bond. But typically they're looking at a defendant's criminal record and sometimes juvenile offenses, the type of crimes for which the defendant was convicted in the past. I believe as a defense attorney are critical factors that a magistrate does consider. Does the defendant have a criminal history where they would be labeled an individual who has failed to appear in court in the past? Typically when somebody, here's how they figure. If somebody's sitting in jail, and by the way, I Uncuff bail bonds are a big shout out to Dan from I Uncuff bail bonds.
Oh, I get it. I Uncuff.
Dan's a good buddy of mine in the show. Dan used to come on the show years ago, and he's always invited back, but I always refer people to Dan at I Uncuff bail bonds. But typically, if somebody is incarcerated, you don't want to call and pay a lawyer. Call a bondsman or post the bond and get out, because a lawyer can't do anything. So I've told people over the decades, look, I understand, you're calling on behalf of your son or daughter who's in jail, or your aunt, your uncle, or a friend, and you're looking for representation to help get that person released from incarceration who just got arrested. But I would say, look, a bond has been set unless there is some type of hold, like a probation violation or a parole hold. There's other reasons why bond will not be set. But if it's a first-time offender or a second-time offender and the facts of the case are not egregious, as I just mentioned, then bond is set. And typically lawyers get these calls across the country. Hey, I have this amount of money. I'd like to have you represent my loved one and get him or her out of jail. I'll tell people, look, don't pay the lawyer. Go get your loved one out of jail first and then contact us afterwards. Right. Because if you pay us, what are we going to do? I mean, we could file a motion to reduce bond, an emergency motion, and ask for a PR bond. But I always recommend, look, call Dan from I Uncuff or just go bond your loved one out. But they also take into consideration, Craig, as I just mentioned, the defendant's record of appearance or non-appearance at previous court hearings or flight to avoid prosecution. Has the defendant had to have any bench warrants issued for his or her arrest in the past? I'm just going down my noggin thinking of I've done thousands and thousands of arraignments. I've heard this in court over and over and over. A defendant's history of substance abuse or addiction is also a consideration, especially if the new crime for which the defendant is being arraigned is a drug or alcohol offense. So, a defendant's mental condition, Craig, including character and reputation for dangerousness, is another issue that magistrates and judges do consider. So there's a lot of factors considering whether, what the bond conditions are going to be and how much bond is to be set for.
I just don't understand why they set it at $50,000, but you only have to pay 10% to get out. Why don't they just have you say whatever 10% of $50,000
Because if you're
is
a first-time offender, typically $50,000, 10% is a high bond. If somebody calls my office and says, look, so-and-so just got arrested for drinking and driving, the bond is set at, $50,000, 10%, there's a 10% provision on there. I'm thinking, okay, was there an accident? Does this individual have priors? Because now they're going to have to post $5,000 cash.
Right.
But if you go to a bondsman, there's statutorily, there's a certain amount. We should really have Dan on the show. Let's invite Dan to come on the show. But there's a statutory amount that a bonds person can charge an individual when seeking to post bond. But typically, if you're going to go to a bondsman, they're going to want collateral. They're going to want a title to something because, again, they are insured. They are affirming to the court that, look, you let this individual out, I'm going to, ensure that this person will appear in court. I'm the bond agency here.
The guarantor or whatever.
The guarantor. If somebody skips, you've seen those shows on TV, then they're going to be tracked down because
you're calling Dog the Bounty Hunter. Then you're calling Dog the Bounty Hunter. And he's coming to get you.
If somebody is released on a personal bond, let's say $20,000 PR bond, that's personal recognizance, and then they violate the terms and condition of bond, which could be a multitude of conditions. They could have an ankle tether, GPS. They could take it off, do all kinds of things. They could get caught, another crime, a new offense while they're on bond. Well, then the prosecutor is going to file a motion to revoke bond. But if you are on a PR bond and it's $20,000, if they arrest you and you're sitting in jail, in order to get out, it's going to be $20,000 to get out of jail. So there's no provision like any percent provision to get out.
Huh. Well, we've done another.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying we've done a great job of not answering Aaron's question, but talking about bond.
We can get to Aaron's question.
We do have to.
Sobriety
well,
court.
so we got to take a break. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll then answer Aaron's question. Considering we totally blew right past it talking about bond. But it's very interesting. But it's interesting stuff because.
But can I just say one more thing?
Of course you can.
Often people who get charged, they want to just appear in court and plead guilty as charged. Well, typically at an arraignment, a magistrate, at least in the state of Michigan and around the country, they have limited jurisdiction. You cannot plead guilty, nor can the court at an arraignment accept a guilty plea under most misdemeanors, especially felony cases, OWIs. I can go down a litany of offenses. Typically, you can plead guilty at the arraignment on minor traffic infractions, not civil infractions, because you don't get arraigned on a civil infraction. You can have a formal hearing or just pay the ticket. But if it's typically driving on a suspended license, you can go to I would never recommend anybody plead guilty to this without speaking to an attorney such as myself. But you can go to court and a magistrate can accept guilty pleas on a very limited basis because people say all the time, I was charged with operating while intoxicated, first offense, and I pled guilty at the arraignment. And I respectfully then explain to that individual that you did not plead guilty, you signed an advice of rights, you indicated you understood your rights, the magistrate entered a plea of not guilty and set it for a pretrial date. And that's what happens.
Bam.
That was one breath, by the way.
That was impressive. I don't know how you know.
That's
all
no
that
strain.
stuff.
There's no strain in the week. It's an onion ring strain. Is there an onion ring strain out there? I'm going to look it up right now.
You should. All right, we got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. When we come back, we'll answer Aaron's question next.
A lazy rain am I. The skies refuse to cry. Cremation takes its piece of your supply. The night is dressed like noon. A sailor spoke too soon. And China's on the dark side of the moon.
back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, turning it and burning it with the new Red Hot Chili Peppers song. It's called, what is it called? It's called Dark Summer? Is that what it's called?
Dank.
No, it's called Black Summer. That's it, Black Summer. With Anthony Kiedis and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Before we went to break, Todd, you were talking about onion ring strain, correct? Is that what you're talking about? Is there an onion ring strain out there?
There is an onion breath, I believe,
That's close.
out there. And no, I mean an actual strain, onion breath strain. So and I think there's a little cushion involved in that, some cool mint. But there's a sour cream weed strain.
Wait a minute. There's a little, what was in the onion breath strain?
I believe there's some scent pine kush with a slight cool mint. From
onion breath
onion
strain
breath,
has cool
correct.
mint. Isn't that kind of like an oxymoron? If you have onion breath, I don't know.
What are you using these big words oxymoron for?
I don't know, 'cause I'm an oxymoron. I'm an
afternoon,
oxymoron.
evening law show.
I'm an oxymoron. Well, you're a lawyer. Come on. So there you go. Hey, speaking of the law, we're actually talking about the law. We had a question from Aaron from Columbus, Indiana, who emailed about sobriety court and going from a sobriety court license to a regular license. And we were going to answer that question, but then we started talking about bonds and stuff like that. So, but we should probably answer that question. So talk about that.
And before we do, Craig, I just want to mention again, if you're an attorney out there and you're listening to this show and you're looking for attorney on attorney advice, always make sure your client, if they're able to, bring cash with them to the arraignment just in case they're ordered to put up a cash bond. That's a really good advice for lawyers out there. And then often, as I mentioned, family members often post bond to secure a client's release, Craig. But
Wait a minute.
It's important. What?
Attorney on attorney?
Attorney. Like I'm giving attorneys advice.
Okay, that's not what I thought you were going with that.
No, if an attorney advice. A lot of attorneys, young attorneys, they need to be reminded sometimes the best practices in the law. So there you go.
That's not what I was.
Like, here's an example.
Okay.
Now, Craig, it's a family show, Craig.
I know. I was thinking something completely different, but
Craig.
I'm not saying it.
Craig. All right, let's get this. Hey, happy birthday, Big here, even though you didn't pick up when we called you.
Yeah.
So, sobriety court license.
Yes.
In the state of Michigan, if you are an individual who is denied and revoked, and that refers to an individual who has two or more convictions under the let's just say two convictions under the Motor Vehicle Code 257 for any combination of drinking and driving offenses, 2 within 7 years, could be impaired, OWI, under 21 of the BAC, 2 within 7 years, could be 2 OWIs. Then the state of Michigan is not going to suspend your ability. Too much strain there, Craig.
Too much.
They will not deny they will not restrict your ability or suspend it. They will deny and revoke your ability to operate a motor vehicle. Now, if you get 3 of any combination under the Motor Vehicle Code 257 in the state of Michigan within a 10-year period, then they will deny and revoke you, and you become eligible after 5 years to apply for a restricted license. Under the 2 within 7 formula, Craig, if you are denied and revoked after a period of 1 year, you become eligible to apply for relief before the state. I will not take any case where an individual calls my office and says, hey, Todd, 2 years ago, the state of Michigan denied and revoked my ability to drive because I'm a habitual drunk driver. So if they have been sober for a period of 2 years and the law, albeit the law says after a year they can go and apply, I wait 3 to 4 years before I'll have somebody hire my services to reinstate restricted privileges. But with all that being said, which may be confusing to a lot of people because I'm just cranking it and spanking it and talking really fast here today, Craig.
With
the state of Michigan,
attorney on attorney advice.
Come on, Craig. If you are a habitual drunk driver, meaning you are about to receive a second conviction under the Motor Vehicle Code or 3 or more, and your license is about to be denied and revoked, or at the time of the offense your license is denied and revoked, under the formula, you would have to wait 3 to 5 years, in some cases longer, before the state will grant you relief. If you get into a sobriety court program, which is a program located within the court system itself in the state of Michigan, after the first phase of that intense program, typically 90 plus days, that is the only exception in the state of Michigan if your license is revoked, whereby the court will, through the state of Michigan, grant you restricted driving privileges. Now, if at the time those privileges are granted, Craig, you were under a mandatory 1-year revocation, then you have to drive with an ignition interlock for a period of 1 year. After the period is up, you request a copy of that ignition interlock report, obtain a substance abuse assessment, a drug screen, a number of letters of attestation, and a number of other documents, and then you seek to appear before an attorney who represents the Secretary of State asking for removal of that restricted license. I typically will tell individuals who are operating under sobriety court licensing that if you were under 2 within 7, so you got a 1-year revocation, these attorneys for the state will not reinstate your full privileges unless you go more about 2.5 to 3 years on that license, albeit you were eligible after a period of 1 year. They have broad discretion. If you are in sobriety court and you're denied and revoked, and you have 3 within 10 years, 3 convictions within 10 years, Craig, the state of Michigan will tell you, Mr. Russell, you have to wait 5 years before we will grant you any relief. Well, if you get a sobriety court license, you have to operate that license with an ignition interlock device for a period of 5 years.
Wow, that is all a lot of information. I mean, that's like, how they
kind of they're going to have to listen on podcasts to take all that.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, how when maybe you're a younger person and you babysit, say, your sister's kids or something like that, and you afterwards you go, boy, that's the best birth control there is, doing some babysitting like that. This is the same kind of deal. This is the best. When you listen to all that information that you just gave out, which is valuable information, it just makes you go, man, you don't want to get pulled over for drinking and driving and have to go through any of this stuff.
Absolutely.
You really just don't. That should be your deterrent when you hear all the hoops and all the bells and whistles you've got to try and ring and hit and go through to get your license back and get your life back with all these sobriety courts. So they try and help you.
But sobriety court is the only program in the state of Michigan, and I'll have to look to see if there's other states that have consistent programs whereby if you come into the program and you are convicted, and once you are convicted, the state of Michigan is going to deny and revoke your ability to drive. You still have to get to work. You still have to get to the intense requirements that the program puts an individual through, these are great programs, by the way. The court will, it's the only exception under the law that, the court, after you complete the first phase of the program, has the ability to grant through the state restricted driving privileges with an ignition interlock device. By the way, we refer everyone to Nationwide Interlock, the Draeger device. My good buddy Herb Gilbert owns Nationwide, and Josh Taylor runs it, actually. Actually, Craig, I am speaking at the Sobriety Court Conference that is going to be taking place at the end of this month. I'm a speaker there.
That makes a lot of sense. You are very knowledgeable about this and have done a lot of cases like this. So it makes a lot of sense. So
I'm going to be speaking to sobriety court directors and their staff and members on how an individual in sobriety court who does have a Michigan restricted license, how can they transition and be put in a successful position whereby when it comes time to seek removal of those restrictions, what is the state looking for? How can that individual be successful? And what can they recommend the participants do while they're going through sobriety court to become successful? So I'm going to lay it all out for them.
It's too bad Aaron from Columbus, Indiana, who wrote that email and asked that question, and we thank you very much for your email, Aaron. Too bad she can't go to that conference and see you speak, because I think it would be valuable information. It's kind of what she was asking about.
Well, the backstory on that email was that Aaron actually has a relative in Michigan who just entered into a sobriety court program.
Got it.
And it was requesting information as how to obtain and when does a restricted license, when is it granted through sobriety court, and then how do they eventually get it removed. That was really the backstory.
There you go. Well, Aaron, we appreciate the email. You can always email the show, toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com if you want to ask.
Let's try to call Big Hair again. Should we try before break?
We're going to try. We can try before break, yes. Let's see if we can get Big Hair on the phone here. Come on, Big Hair. Don't let us down.
I'm not feeling too confident right now. Happy birthday, Big Hair. Wow. I think his wife has him locked down. Usually dinner time, he's 60 years old. He still needs permission. I'll get him a doctor's slip.
Maybe he's changing the oil in the Prius or something.
He's working on his yard. He's obsessed with yard work. He does everybody else's yards. He's that guy.
Call has been forwarded.
Oh, big hair, man.
Big hair. All right. There's only one thing left to do, Craig.
No. You're calling his wife?
Nope. Call little John again and have him take us out to break. Boy, the production of the show is top notch, isn't it?
It is
Come on,
par.
little John. You always answer.
Hello, my brother.
Yeah. Little John.
Oh, little John.
We love you, little John. We couldn't get a hold of Big Hair for the second time, and I said, you know what, let's just call little John because he always answers. He never lets me down. And we want you to take us to break, little John. So will you take us out to break?
Take you out to break.
Yeah, we're ending the third segment of the show.
Okay. Well, stay tuned. You don't know what you're going to miss if you don't listen. If you don't listen, you must be in the bathroom whizzing. Well, take it easy, shake it easy, and have a god day. We'll see you in the movie. On the way back, leave lying because we're on the right track.
The water's wet, the sky's blue, and little John, we love you. All right, take us a break, Craig.
A lazy rain am I. The skies refuse to cry. Cremation takes its piece of your supply. The night is dressed like noon. A sailor spoke too soon. And China's on the dark side of the moon. Hit me now. Platypus are few. The secret life of Rue. A personality I never knew. Get it on. My Greta weighs a ton. The archer's on the run. And no one stands alone behind the sun. It's been a long time since I made a new friend, waiting on another black summer to end. It's been a long time and you never know when, waiting on another black summer to end.
Little John, say welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show with Craig Russell, America's favorite nug.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show with Craig Russell, the favorite hustle. I think I got it wrong, but I do it right.
It's supposed to be Craig Russell, America's favorite nug.
Yes, a favorite nug. I'm sorry, Craig. I can't remember yesterday if it wasn't for today.
Yep, Craig is singing dank, da dank, da dank, dank, dank
my
all day and night.
Oh, little John.
All right, little John. Hey, little John, any shout outs before I let you go? Because we got to wrap up the show.
Yeah, we are definitely shouting out to Taco Boy. I was there yesterday, and I'll tell you what, they had some great tamales.
Yeah, we love Taco Boy. We talked about them a couple weeks. Little John, thanks for coming on the show. We love you, little John.
Oh, he's the man, little John. What was he talking about? Whizzing? What the hell was that all about?
Little John is just, he's full of rhymes and he's full of reason. And Craig Russell, it is the season.
Speaking of rhymes and reason in the season.
But, you know, last week, court looked like, what did we have for court last week? We had 4 Secretary of State license restoration cases before the state of Michigan. So we appeared quite a bit via Microsoft Teams with the state of Michigan.
Right.
Successfully assisting clients. Had a conversation with Mike Camoran, John Marco, and the Honorable Big Daddy Danny Bain.
It was a big week for you in court there. So,
I mean, not too bad. Just,
yeah.
Every day I get to meet some really great people, give out some solid advice, and hope that we can guide people down the right path. And if we cannot, then we put them on the right path.
That's all you can really try and do. And if not, you can always get Little John to set him straight, because
Big Hair, he doesn't even answer his phone.
I know, Big Hair. I'm so disappointed in him. So disappointed.
Yeah.
In that. But anyway, hey, Todd, we should probably wrap the show up. The show's just about over. We got to go.
Craig, you know what? I've got to get going. You know where I have to go?
I don't know where you're going. Where are you going today?
Right over here. I'm pointing right over there, because wherever you go, you're always going somewhere. So wherever you go, there you are.
Oh, Todd.
I'm going to get some French fries and see if there's any onion rings in them.
In Michigan today, I don't know how it's going to be in other places in the country. It's supposed to be about 60 degrees, and it's like a real spring day, so everybody enjoy it. It's going to be a beautiful day. So.
Oh, beautiful day.
Todd, we got to go.
That's
the show's over.
We got to go. We're not here for a long time. Take us out, Craig, with a little Dank to Dank. What are we here for?
We're here for a good time, Todd.
All right.
Waiting on another black summer to win. I've been waiting on another black summer to win. I've been waiting on another black summer.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush. Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant. Clear Vision Windows, Siding, and Roofing, now booking in Central and Northern Michigan. And attorney Todd L. Levitt, not just a litigator, he's an advocator.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.